We're watching $80 trillion shift into blockchain and DLT as we speak. I'm not exaggerating when I say this is the largest wealth transfer you and I will ever witness. The CEO of Uphold, yeah, he's backing this up completely. Now, I've got updates for you on spot XRP that are pretty fascinating. How much has actually been absorbed? We need to talk about that. I'm breaking down some scenarios, starting with the conservative estimates. Here's the part that caught me off guard. New products are popping up seemingly overnight. Income XRP, ticker XRPM. You can get 3% monthly income through an ETF that's built around XRP. Where did these even come from? Look, we're covering all of it today. Let me take you through everything, starting right here. Take a listen.
What banks are waking up to is, over the next 15 years, there's going to be the largest wealth transfer in history.
It's already started.
It's already started. From baby boomers and Gen X to Gen Z and Gen Alpha. $80 trillion of wealth is going to be transferred to digital native generations. You know, these are people who are going to expect money and investments to be as instantly movable as a text or a video file. And, you know, blockchain really is best seen as a recognition that most money and financial assets are just digital information on ledgers.
Right.
But in the legacy world, there are lots of different ledgers that don't talk to each other. And so you end up with unnecessary friction and cost and intermediaries. Whereas this new coming generation is going to expect instant movement of money globally. And that's what blockchain facilitates. So, you know, the big story here is banks need to prepare for what this coming digital native generation are going to want, you know, from financial services. And at the most basic level, they're going to want access to digital assets.
So check this out. The younger crowd, they're choosing blockchain over traditional stock markets, and it's not even close. Financial institutions are just now realizing this, and you can see the panic setting in. They're sitting in boardrooms going, wait, how do we reach these people? These aren't just random young investors. They're the ones who will inherit everything eventually. Think about your own situation for a second. You've got plans for your children, your grandchildren, someone you care about passing wealth to. We're living through this transformation as it happens. Nobody's figured out how to pack their portfolio into a coffin yet. So what's the game plan here? What kind of legacy are you actually building? The setup you create for your family today determines everything that comes next. That's the heavy stuff we need to think about. Anyway, let's get into the new data that just dropped. So Chad Steingraber puts together this scenario. Daily average acquisition scenario. 1 daily fund inflow. 3.7 million XRP times 12 funds, 44,719,000 XRP daily. He's projecting that 10 billion XRP gets absorbed annually. And remember, this is based on the lowest fund activity we're tracking. I got curious and started cross-checking his work to understand his approach. Look, the numbers in his post get you close to the target, but they're not perfectly precise. Let's say you've got 12 funds, each pulling in 3.7 million XRP every single day. When you crunch those numbers properly, this is what you actually get. There's also this 5.7 days figure mentioned somewhere, and honestly, that one's throwing me off a bit. What really matters though is the annual picture. Stretch this out across 365 days and you're staring at roughly 16.2 billion getting removed from supply. So naturally, spot XRP ETFs. By the end of November, a total of 7 spot XRP ETFs will be scheduled to be approved and launched across the US with major issuers like Canary Capital, Franklin Templeton, Bitwise, CoinShares, 21 Shares participating. Current launch timelines indicate that all 7 funds should be active by the month's end. Barring last-minute procedural issues and regulatory delays, no additional major approvals beyond these 7 are anticipated for the remainder of the year, as issuers like Canary Capital are reportedly pausing new filings. Exchange available XRP and spot price. Since there are roughly 3 billion XRP available on exchanges, while ETF demand is projected to exceed this amount in a matter of months, scarcity would rapidly develop. Once the available exchange XRP supply is depleted, XRP price would likely surge dramatically as the ETFs and other buyers compete for dwindling liquidity. This effect is similar to what was observed with Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETFs, leading to price spikes. Sourcing XRP and ETFs. When exchanges run out of sell-side XRP, ETFs need to source XRP through OTC, over-the-counter DEFs, possibly buying directly from large holders, institutional wallets, or Ripple-controlled escrow releases. Increased offer prices to incentivize dormant holders and long-term investors to sell. Potential pressure on Ripple to release more escrowed XRP to maintain ETF flow. All market avenues are exhausted and supply remains constrained. Further ETF creation would temporarily halt until new supply is willing or sellers to emerge. The real game here involves financial institutions and the big whales. Think about it. When do they actually pull the trigger and sell their XRP? Do they mark it up and cash out at a premium? Retail holders like you and me are probably going to wait for much bigger numbers because our holdings are tiny compared to giants like SBI who control 1 billion XRP or whatever insane amount they have. We're about to watch this incredibly complex dance play out in front of us. Different players, different strategies, all happening simultaneously. I'm glued to this story. Want to follow along with every twist and turn? You know where to find me. All right, the Clarity Act. This thing is going to be rocket fuel for institutions, insurance companies, and major corporations who've been sitting on the sidelines of crypto. Let me pull this up for you. Take a listen to this.
This is further clarification. The Genius Act gave us clarity on stablecoins. This new bill will give us clarity on much more within the general world of crypto, and again provides the rules that the traditional finance industry, banks, insurance companies, credit card companies, as well as the Fortune 500 generally, need to know that they're able to engage in this marketplace. They know what they're allowed to do, how they're allowed to do it, how they have to disclose it and report it and pay taxes on it. And this is going to unleash the burdens that have kept everybody out of the marketplace. The result of all this, you're going to see hundreds of millions, probably hundreds of billions of dollars, perhaps even trillions of dollars flowing into Bitcoin and other digital assets. And since all of these coins operate on a supply-demand issue, just like any other asset, we're anticipating this is going to be the beginning of a major source of inflows and price increases over the next several years.
Once exchanges run out of crypto to sell, there's really only one place for the price to head: sky high. Now, heads up on this next segment. The clip coming up is in German, just so you know what you're getting into. The description reads, Germany, Japan, and South Korea. All three are going big on XRP. XRP hitting German national TV institutions, loading up, and nearly ETF signals looking massive. Once we wrap this up, I've got some fresh products to show you, plus the SEC's latest moves on ETF share classes and mutual funds. We're talking about yet another door opening for money to pour into crypto. Give me about a minute 30 here. I'm not narrating the whole thing, so anyone listening while driving might want to fast forward through this bit. For everyone else, subtitles are running along the bottom. Listen to this.
Du hast es schon angesprochen, der Spot XRP ETF, der jetzt von Canary Capital am 13.11., also letzte Woche veröffentlicht wurde, gelauncht wurde, war der erfolgreichste Launch eines ETFs in den Vereinigten Staaten in diesem Jahr über alle Assetklassen hinweg. Also hinweg über 900 Launches, die es da gab, mit einem Volumen von 58 Millionen US-Dollar. Und das ist nur einer, Canary Capital. Diese Woche kommen noch Franklin Templeton heute und Bitwise und 21 Shares kommen zum Rest der Woche. Also von daher, das geht jetzt richtig los. Und trotz der negativen Marktlage insgesamt, die wir beim Bitcoin haben, die wir bei den Kryptos insgesamt haben, war es ein brutal erfolgreicher Launch. Und man kann davon ausgehen, dass sich das mit Sicherheit fortsetzen wird. Und ab einem gewissen Punkt sind die Spots dann leer. Und dann wird das sicherlich sich im Preis niederschlagen. Und so passt das dann am Ende des Tages alles einigermaßen zusammen. Und wenn die Marktlage insgesamt besser wird, wenn die Hilfspakete dann im Sinne eines Vorausdenkens greifen werden, dann werden genau diese Nachrichten dafür sorgen, dass es sich hier mit einer...
They're discussing how the Canary Capital Spot XRP ETF absolutely crushed it as the most successful launch in the entire United States this year. And we're talking across every single asset class here. This guy clearly has his finger on the pulse, right? What I really appreciate is how he's taking the time to break this down for everyday people who need to understand why this is such a big deal. That kind of transparency is rare and it's awesome to witness. So let me show you what's happening. XRPC volume spikes 118,818,000, 2.8 million, 391,000 volume shares for the date now at 1.4 million on the average. That makes 4 giant volume buys for XRPC today. We're watching some serious action here, including one monster 3 million share purchase, along with several other buys in the hundreds of thousands. Now there's another development worth paying attention to. SEC issues approval order allowing Dimensional to offer ETF share classes of mutual funds, become second asset manager after Vanguard with this capability, and the first with the ability to use actively managed products. Some 90 other asset managers are pursuing this as well. My first reaction was literally, hold on, what am I looking at here? Full transparency, this particular side of things isn't something I've been following closely until now. The SEC approval allowing Dimensional to offer ETF share classes of mutual funds is a milestone that unlocks broad changes across the investment landscape, including crypto, specifically XRP. This move demonstrates Vanguard's long-standing monopoly on the dual share structures and opens the door to 90 other fund managers to launch similar products, spurring a wave of innovation to greater investor access for both tax-efficient liquid ETFs and traditional mutual funds. It talks about accelerated crypto ETF approvals. The SEC now fast-tracks approvals for the new ETF products, including those tied to cryptocurrency such as XRP and Solana. With fund managers leveraging these structures, crypto ETFs are expected to proliferate, giving digital assets more mainstream exposure. Institutional access and legitimacy spot crypto ETFs, including those for XRP, making it easier for institutions to allocate capital to digital assets via regulated vehicles, providing price discovery and legitimacy, and attracting a significant new liquidity to the space. Operational market effects. With more mutual funds able to create dual asset structures, asset managers are likely to integrate crypto holdings while preferred, further blurring the lines between traditional finance and digital finance. So basically bringing these two together, DEFI and TRA DEFI. And then specific implications for XRP ETF pipeline momentum. There are already 20 XRP, ETP, and ETF filings, and institutional interest has surged following Ripple's legal victory. Grayscale and other asset managers are updating XRP ETF filings. Rapidly anticipated imminent approval and analysis see extremely high odds for XRP ETFs before the end of the year. XRP price and market effects. The approval and rollout of US-listed XRP ETFs are projected to drive increased demand from institutions like RIAs seeking diversified crypto exposure, especially given XRP's use cases in payments and the growing appetite for altcoin-based ETFs. So then we've got this brand new product that basically materialized out of thin air, the ticker X RPM 3% monthly income. I'm sitting here going, wait, where did this come from and what's the play here? Turns out it's pretty interesting. The product is Amplify XRP 3% monthly premium income ETF, a newly launched exchange-traded fund designed to generate monthly income for XRP price appreciation and volatility using option strategies. Its goal is to deliver high option yield-driven, targeted 36% annual premium income returns by actively managed XRP link positions. They've spelled everything out: when it launched, what the net assets look like from day one, share counts, what they're charging you in fees, every single metric you'd want to know. The importance for the XRP ecosystem here. This ETF provides a regulated way for institutional retail investors to gain exposure to XRP price action and volatility without needing direct on-chain custody or exchange accounts, while boost mainstream acceptance, liquidity, and visibility by listing on major exchanges like SIBO and BZX. The fund is likely to attract significant trading volume, raising overall liquidity and XRP derivatives, bolstering market visibility. Income strategy and innovation. The fund uniquely targets option-based yield strategies, expanding the diversity of crypto-linked investment products. This approach can attract yield-focused portfolios and retirees, both broadening XRP investor base. Look, this is your cue to get on the horn with your financial advisor right now. Hit them up and say, listen, I found this thing and I need your eyes on it. They'll need to vet the company, peel back the layers, all that due diligence stuff. And trust me, your advisor is going to have a laundry list of boxes to check off before you even think about pulling the trigger on this. Let's be real here. Some of these products are going to absolutely tank, plain and simple. They won't all be home runs. That's exactly why you can't just wing it and hope for the best. Seriously, make that call and talk it through with someone who actually understands this landscape. You could literally dodge a financial bullet by having one conversation. Anyway, check it out. Here's the news. CBOE XRP Income ETF goes live. Yep, this baby went live and started trading as of today. The data is trickling in as we speak. I'll definitely circle back with you as we learn more about how it's performing. If you look at the numbers, the share volume is pretty tiny right now compared to what we saw earlier, but hey, it's officially in the market and people are buying and selling it. So that's your update on the $80 trillion coming into XRP. Hold on, scratch that. $80 trillion flooding into the entire crypto ecosystem. Yeah, I'd absolutely love it if every penny was headed straight to XRP, not gonna lie. My brain just autopiloted to XRP there for a second. But here's the real picture. We're looking at an insane amount of wealth about to enter this space over the next 5 to 10 years. And that right there is what gets me excited every single morning. This coming wave of value, cutting-edge technology, institutions finally stepping in with serious capital, actual infrastructure getting constructed. Where we are today, we're basically still throwing darts in the dark. People are arguing whether the price hits $2, 20, maybe 40. Honestly, those short-term numbers don't keep me up at night. My focus is locked on what the landscape looks like half a decade out, a full decade down the road. I'm focused on hitting that sweet spot where financial anxiety becomes a thing of the past, permanently. That's the goal for me and everyone who depends on me. Which is why I'm committing to being right here in front of this camera every day, chewing through data, absorbing every detail that matters, and making sure you get all of it too. I'll keep at this grind until we finally get to throw the celebration of a lifetime together. And yeah, every single one of you has a guaranteed spot there. Until next time. Appreciate you rolling with me today. Your time genuinely means the world to me. And there's no adequate way to say thanks for that. See you in the next video.